Hello. This was a very bad idea because I did not schedule it, nor did I tell anyone about it. But here I am anyway, talking to, it looks like, no one, or maybe one person. Um, so I'm going to BS for a few minutes to see if people actually show up to this weird thing that I'm doing here, or if it turns out to be like just me. Um, I really like I have an announcement, and I really didn't think this through at all. I sent out some newsletters yesterday, and I've been slowly kind of building up to this release that's happening. And oh, look, someone's actually here. Hey, Anthony, thank you for dropping in. Um, as I was just saying, I didn't schedule this at all, and it was just kind of like a spur of the moment. Well, I kind of was thinking about it yesterday when I sent out the newsletters. So, if you were looking at that newsletter, you may have noticed that I said I might do this today, and I was just thinking that it was a pretty bad idea because I, number one, didn't tell anyone really, and number two, I've been teaching all day online, so I am actually fairly enervated at the moment. Just it's been a long day, and I've been pretty busy. Plus, is today Thursday? I think it's a Thursday, and it's like what is it 4 o'clock on a Thursday. I feel like a lot of people just aren't gonna be around so much. Um, so this is a new webcam. I forget if I used this webcam for. Oh, right. I did do a live stream. Oh, when was that? A couple weeks ago with this webcam, and I figured out what I did wrong that day too, which was I was wondering why I. So obviously, right now I'm in the Streamlabs OBS system, which gives us like the logo and the interactive chat box and like the screen and all that kind of stuff. But when I did the live stream last time, it just started recording through YouTube. I think it was just straight through YouTube, and I had no idea how that happened because previously you had to use separate streaming software to get a live stream going. And it turns out, I don't know if this was always there or not, but it turns out that YouTube has a live stream through webcam option now, and I accidentally clicked on that when I was trying to start my webcast, and that's why it just like started, and I was like, I don't have screen share, but I'll just talk anyway. I want to thank you, Anthony. I saw your order come through. I think it was this morning or last night. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support, and just as a reminder too, I don't have those books in hand yet, so they will be shipping. I hope some like before, it might be 2 to 4 weeks. I'm not entirely sure how long it's going to take, to be honest. Um, because I don't have the books at all yet, but hopefully it won't be too long. So, yeah, only a couple people here so far. I was thinking about just kind of chatting a little bit, announcing the release of my new novel, which of course, Anthony, you know about. Um, I don't know if the other person here is aware of that, but yeah, I was going to announce the novel, and I also was going to try this. Eesh. Got this voodoo, the new voodoo flavor, and I haven't tasted it yet, so I wanted to give that a little bit of a taste test while I was doing this. And I also have a reading queued up. So I was going to do a reading of soundtrack, which is something I don't do very often, mainly because I don't like doing live readings. I don't like doing readings, which is why I recorded a reading. I recorded it earlier so I could just play it, and I wouldn't have the extra stress of doing it live. But I have a reading queued up, so I'll do that at some point too. I'm gonna save this for a few minutes. So what have you been up to, Anthony? Anything exciting? My shop is going unused for the most part. I was hoping to get like a new item for the Halloween season. I was going to sculpt something new for the Halloween season, but I never really got around to it. And I might still do it, but its time is growing quite short at this point, so I might just leave it at the novel for the Halloween season. You might notice also I have my little Halloween mood area going on back there. It's it started as a Halloween mood table and then kind of exploded onto the dresser, and actually over here there's more lights, and over there's more lights, and it's and that's like a fraction of what I own in terms of Halloween stuff. I have so many other things that I have to still dig out of storage. Just working. Yeah, I hear you. Today's been a long day for me, work-wise as well. Yeah, it's been... I actually, in 2 weeks, I will be... Right now I'm teaching all online classes, but in a couple of weeks I will be going to campus I'm going to have to teach on campus for a little bit. So that should be fun. I want to see if I can post about this maybe on Twitter or something. See if we could grab a few more people in here. I need to get the link to the live stream. There's a share button. That'll work. Let's share it to Twitter. No one looks at my Twitter, so that post was worthless. I'll tell you the truth. I am not very well read on Twitter, but maybe I will do a quick post on Instagram where more people actually look at my stuff, believe it or not, for some weird reason. Let me get back here. Do we have a quick post on here? No, just Facebook. Anthony was saying, that's fantastic. I need to put up some more stuff. My neighbors have already started on the outdoor stuff. I'm going to have a picture of their house to show you. Yeah, that's awesome. I actually haven't done any outdoor decorating yet. I will eventually. Let's get a picture for Instagram. Wait, that is... There we go. There we go. Picture for Instagram. Just to get some people in here, if possible. Live on YouTube. That didn't work. Live on YouTube. That says love on YouTube, Tony. Try live. Live on YouTube. Very nice. Join us. Todd said he could barely hear me. That's great. I just turned the mic up all the way. Are you having trouble hearing me as well, Anthony? Come join us. Okay, posted there. We'll see if people come in. Maybe I should just talk louder. Is that better for you, Todd? My mic is saying that I'm doing... My little mic thing says that it's... Oh, much better. All right, there you go. Perfect. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever done, Todd. I didn't tell anyone about it, and I didn't prepare anything, and I just started coming through loud and clear, Anthony. Okay, cool. Yeah, this webcam is strange. I've noticed that on some devices it seems fine and really actually pretty clear, and then I've heard from someone else that someone other than Todd has told me that it was kind of low at some point, so I don't know. All right, so there are a few people here. Why don't I just go ahead and show you a little bit of a screen share very quickly. Oh, look, it's me. That's not what I want to show you. I want to show you that. That is my webpage. For those of you who have not been to my webpage in a while, it has been redesigned. And you'll notice that right at the front, we have a wonderful, beautiful new cover for the book that I just released. It's available now. Soundtrack to the End of the World is available now, as you can see. I have a couple of purchase options at the moment. One of them is for a limited signed paperback copy. So if you click that, that'll actually bring you to my web store. And for the same price that the paperback will be on Amazon, you could grab yourself a signed copy. As you can see, there are only, it's a very small amount, only 13 available at the moment. But I will restock if I need to. This will incur some shipping fees, so it'll end up being a little bit more expensive buying it this way because I have to pay for shipping. But if you don't want to pay for shipping, you could get the ebook or paperback through Amazon eventually. So Amazon right now only has the Kindle. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it looks like you could get it for free. You could buy it for, what is this, $2.99? That's not so bad. And eventually the paperback will be available through Amazon, but at the moment it is not. I can't tell you why that is, because I don't know why. It has something to do with the cover, I think. So, keep an eye on that if you want to get a copy through Amazon rather than my shop. All right. Those are the sharing things I was going to do. Was there something else? No, I don't think so. I mean, other than if you haven't been to the webpage in a while, it has been completely redesigned by my brother, who is an amazing web designer, and he just did a great job. I talked about this in my last live stream, but I did not have the screen share available at the time, so I didn't get to show you. I do have like a news section where I post stuff sometimes. I write things. This is going to be coming out soon, which Todd worked on as well. Did a lot of work on this, if I'm not mistaken. The cover design, the interior design, editing. I believe you have a short story in there as well, Todd, don't you? And anecdotes as well. A lot. I know you put a lot into this. So I'm excited about that one. Charity anthology, tribute to Frank Michaels Arrington. And yeah, so, take a look at the webpage when you get a chance. My shop is now integrated on the webpage, so you could actually buy stuff direct from me instead of Etsy. And I do still have some goodies here. I didn't do anything new for the season, but we have some Halloween items, still a couple of, I think I have 2 Devil's Creek idols left, maybe 1 Cthulhu magnet. And of course, there is the free calendar. If you want a free Halloween countdown calendar, all for your very own, you could download it here. You are not charged anything for that download. And you also get the paper mask for free. The candy corn paper mask. What fun we have. All right, let's come back to live. I am live. And I have been ignoring the chat. Let's see who... Oh, we have people in the chat. Oh my god. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Anthony and I were talking by ourselves for a while there because I did not tell anyone that I was doing this. Because I know how to promote really well, obviously. I'm a great promoter. Let's see what we got. Hey, John Norton. How you doing? Todd ordered one. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. You didn't have to do that. The Gore Father. How you doing? Yes, the season is kicking in. I mentioned earlier, everything's mirrored on here, so I'm going to be constantly pointing in the wrong direction. But I don't know how well you could see this, but my Halloween mood area is over there, and I have other lights up. So now when I watch movies, it's a nice orange glow in the room. It feels real spooky in here. I love it. I designed the entire book. Oh, this is Todd speaking. I designed the entire book, wrote the foreword, contributed a story. Kenneth Kane edited. Okay, Kenneth was the editor on that. That's right. I knew that. And wrote the afterword. Right on. Thanks for clearing that up. Yeah, I knew that you had a lot to do with it though, Todd. I know that you obviously wanted to put a lot into it. Hey, I am going to, well, now that there are more of you here, I'll just mention this again. My brand new reprint is available now, sort of. Soundtrack to the End of the World, for anyone who has not read it yet. You can get a signed paperback copy from my store, or you can get a ebook copy or paperback from Amazon. Links are in the description of this video. You could go to my webpage directly, and there are plenty of links there as well. Mountain Dew video. Always like your Halloween setups. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is supposedly a new flavor. I'm very interested in trying this because last year I thought it tasted like Skittles. And then, oh, by the way, everyone, I have a reading set up so I'm going to do a reading for Soundtrack in a few minutes. So I'm just going to wait to see if more people show up or not. But while we're waiting, I'm going to try this secret flavor, the mystery flavor voodoo. So I thought it tasted like Skittles last year. And then other people thought it tasted like candy corn, and other people thought it tasted like creamsicle. And then the few people I talked to this year think that it tastes like Skittles now and didn't think it tasted like Skittles last year. So I'm curious if this is just going to taste the same to me or if it's going to be a little different. I don't know. Hey, Trish is here. Hi, Trish. I'm doing weird things with soda. Alright, so let's take a taste of this and see if it tastes like creamsicle, Skittles, candy corn, none of the above. It smells like Skittles to me again. It smells exactly the same as it smelled last year. It tastes the same. I don't know what people are going crazy about. Supposedly it's a new flavor, I think, unless it's just the same thing for a new year. It says limited edition 2020 mystery flavor Mountain Dew Voodoo. I bet it's the same damn flavor and everyone's like, oh, it's different. It's not different. It's exactly the same and it still tastes like Skittles. It never tasted like anything but Skittles. Ugh. I'm not actually angry at you. That doesn't surprise me, Trish said. And Tony is... Mr. Tony of the Dead is here. And he had to watch an ad before my live show. Do you think I actually know what I'm doing when I set these things up? Apparently ads were enabled for this. I just made a cool 20... No. I was going to say 20 cents, but it's not. No way. I probably made a cool 2 cents off of you just now, Tony. Nice. Nice. I'm gonna save those 2 pennies. I'm going to rub them together, and they're going to... I don't know, burst into flames. Oh, thanks, Gore Father. If you decide to pick up a copy, I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, the links and everything are... Whoops, I'm on the wrong thing again. Links and everything are on my webpage, anthonyjrapino.com. And there is the butte. And the links are over here for your copies and everything. The promotion of this has been kind of strange because I wasn't sure exactly when it was coming out. In fact, I thought it was coming out. If you look at the calendar that I was showing you earlier, if you look at this calendar, you'll see that I actually have it listed as being released the weekend of the 12th, which is when I thought it was coming out. So I was a week off there, and now, as you know, on Amazon, you still can't even get the paperback on Amazon. You could only get, well, you could pre-order it from me if you want it signed. So, kind of just working through and hoping for the best on that. Am I using OBS? Yes, I'm using OBS. Which I was saying earlier, and Todd said I made like fractions of fractions of fractions of pennies, which is most likely true, the fractions of a cent. And yeah, Tony, I was saying earlier that they changed things around on me on YouTube, and last time I tried to do a live stream, I accidentally started streaming through YouTube because now they have like a webcam live stream option, and I didn't realize that was even a possibility. Because I think when I started doing this, you had to have a separate streaming software system. All right, so I'm going to do a reading of Soundtrack to the End of the World. It is about 15 minutes long or so. It's chapter 6, so it's occurring, obviously about 17 pages into the novel. It should make somewhat, I hope it makes sense as you're listening. I suck at these readings. I'm really bad at it. I hate doing it, so, be kind. I really am not great at this. And what else was I going to say? Oh, if anyone here is, like, easily offended, maybe you don't want to listen to the reading. There's not a whole lot of, like, bad stuff in there, but there are enough curse words and things that maybe you'd be offended. I don't want to offend anyone necessarily, but, just be warned. Viewer discretion is advised that this reading may be slightly offensive. So, here we go. Alrighty, going to be reading an excerpt from Soundtrack to the End of the World. This is Chapter 6. Corey and I lived in Tourist Central for the New York and New Jersey area. Tourist Central though it was, the closest thing to a city we had was Main Street, a matter of a dozen blocks of bars and stores. And these were no city blocks vanishing into the horizon. Our sidewalks ended before you even realized they started. Of course, the main reason anyone lived in a locale like Ladenburg, and why so many New Yorkers and Jerseyites visited, was for the isolation. Behind the buildings and past the concrete sidewalks, there were trees. Not just a single tree protruding from a square of dirt surrounded by cement, but whole forests of trees, right behind the stores. Look up, you'd see mountains. Walk for more than half an hour and you'd find a river. Nature was the attraction. Instead of living where the reality was pavement, scattered with reminders of nature, mounds of grass, clusters of trees like mirages in the smog, these tourists could visit the mirror image. Here, the cityscape was the mirage, surrounded by the reality of forests and mountains like a looming deity. Corey and I stopped in front of the music store, Jasper's, and looked through the display window. "Did you go check out the aura reader yet?" "Yeah," I said. "I have another appointment for later in the week." Corey looked at me from the corner of his eyes. "You're going back? Didn't Skinny only give you one free pass? Which, by the way, I still think is screwed up to give you a gift for your parents' deaths." "Don't worry. Skinny thought the reading would help me deal with it." I scratched my beard. "He knew you'd get pissed." "Damn right." Corey looked away and rubbed his head. "It's not the sort of thing you give presents for." "Yeah, well, I was hoping to talk to Dr. Pepper about it, but he wasn't at the reunion." Corey smiled too wide and said, "So anyway, why are you going back to Naomi if it's just one free session?" I shrugged off the obvious deflection and said, "She's pretty good. She's giving me another freebie. It's a scam." "I don't know. I think I have a shot with her." Corey grabbed my shoulder. "No way, man." He slapped my back. "She's so loose your dick will slip out sideways." But I pushed him away. "Why are you only funny off stage?" "Hey, that hurts." Speaking of which, we walked into Jasper's. "Where's the next show?" The clerk looked up and nodded, his gauged earlobe swaying like mini tire swings. He was probably a local college kid just scraping up some easy money for the weekends and textbooks. Corey picked up a Tool CD, turned it around in his hands. "No next show. No more shows." I was moving to the used section, but I stopped. "What are you talking about? Finally getting some real laughs." Corey put the CD back. Real laughs, Marty? We're soliciting laughs through scare tactics. He ran a hand over his head, rubbed the stubble. I'm a software programmer, not a comedian. I saw where this was headed. It was like 6 months previous when Sarah, his girlfriend, took up with a street performer. A mime. He walked in on them practicing the rope pull. It's part of the act. You're like the next Andy Kaufman. It's over, Raft. He used my last name. This was worse than the mime fiasco. Come on, let's get a beer. Fine, but you aren't changing my mind. He turned and walked out. I followed, but before I got through the door, some big guy grabbed Corey around the waist with one arm. In the other big hand, he had a hot dog. His chin was shining, covered with drool. These images registered in snippets as I lunged through the door and pulled the man loose of Corey. The man stumbled back, surprised, and he said, "Marty, what the hell?" Though there was real concern in the scrunched folds of his forehead and squinted eyes, he shoved the hot dog into his mouth. I didn't recognize the man at all, and I couldn't understand how he knew my name. He wasn't as tall as me, but he looked to weigh about the same. With an unknown fear beginning to grip my heart, I said, "Back off." Corey seemed shocked out of his former mood. He stood by my side and a little behind, but looked ready to help. And I wasn't above the consideration I might need help with this guy. Still chewing on the meat stick, bits of bun sticking to his chin, he said, "Marty, it's me, skinny fella." "Hey, buddy," Corey chimed in. "I hate to break it to you, but you ain't no skinny fella, and you're certainly not the skinny fella." He looked at me as if to confirm the large man was in fact a stranger. I said nothing, and instead backed off a step, pulling Corey with me. The big guy stared skyward with a euphoric look on his face. "Hey, Corey, you should use that in your act." He slid his hand into the front of his pants. His wide lips turned up and spittle cascaded over his chin, dribbling onto his chest. He closed his eyes. Inside Jasper's, the pierced clerk came to the window and stared out at us. He had a weird grin on his face, half confusion, half enjoyment. He made no move to come out to help, but merely watched the show. "Corey," I said, backing up, "we should go. Now." The big guy's eyes snapped open. His hand emerged from his trousers only to enter his pocket. He moved forward, closing the gap I had tried to create. Across the street, a group of kids ran past an elderly couple. The old man put his arm around his wife and pulled her close. She smiled and looked over her shoulder as the kids turned the corner. Cars continued, unperturbed and oblivious of the scene unfolding. The only witnesses watched on through the pane of glass to our left. The stranger probed his pocket with one hand. The other went to his face. He patted it, feeling his cheeks, then his nose. His mouth opened. He shook his head and laughed. "Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm still trying to get the hang of all this." His hand came out of his pocket holding a business card. He held it out to me and said, "Listen, Marty, I won't be able to work the clubs with you for a while." The big man standing there holding out a business card. I pictured skinny fella handing me Naomi's card. Corey said, "Back off, psycho!" He nodded slowly as if addressing a small child. "It's okay. Just take the card." When neither of us made a move to take it, the skinny imposter laughed, his big cheeks shaking. He placed the card on the ground. "All right, guys. I understand. Just take the card. I'll leave now." He turned away, and when I saw his hand sneak back into his pants just as a woman and her child were walking past, she grabbed the kid close and scurried by like a squirrel. Corey's mouth hung open, and he watched the rotund figure galump into the distance. "What just happened?" "I don't know." And I didn't. Not yet, anyway. I bent down to take the card. "Marty!" Back on a first-name basis. "Don't pick that up. The guy had his hands down his pants, not to mention drool all over himself." I shrugged. "Just remind me to wash my hands before I eat anything." I picked the card up and inspected it. Corey got up on tippy toes and tried to peer over my shoulder. Well? I shook my head. It's just an address in hours. It says midnight to 2 in the morning. I flipped the card over. Well, that makes a little sense at least. I held the card out to Corey. On the back, someone had written "mind fuckers." Something about the guy was familiar, and what he said made my mind tingle with nearly lost memories, some old connection. Still on Main Street, I wasn't seeing the trees beyond the buildings, and I wasn't seeing the buildings. My eyes were turned inward, searching the crevices and folds of my brain. The skinny imposter, he said, "You should use that in your act." He said, "I won't be able to work the clubs with you for a while." How did he know about the clubs, about Corey's act? Was he in the crowd one night? Did he follow me and Skinny outside and hear us talking? Maybe he was trying to blackmail us? He could be waiting for us at the address on the card, waiting with friends. The scenario reminded me of a television show, something I saw on the Lifetime network. It was a prank, Corey said, as if reading my mind. A prank? Yeah, he rubbed his head, smiling now. Didn't you hear the guy? He knew all about us and the act. Skinny put him up to this. I'm telling you, it's a prank. It made a hell of a lot more sense than my idea. Give him a call on your cell. I wish you'd buy your own cell phone. Even elementary school kids have cell phones these days. And that makes it okay? I took out my silver case and retrieved a cigarette, automatically thinking of Dr. Pepper. I looked at Corey, who had the phone to his ear, but had already started shaking his head as if he knew Skinny wouldn't pick up. Rubbing my thumb over the cigarette case's contours, I said, "Why didn't you come to the reunion?" Corey acted like he was trying to listen to something on the phone. He made a sour face. "Hell, I'm surprised you went. There's no reason to go." I pocketed the case. Dr. Pepper. Corey shook his head and hit end on the phone. "He wasn't there. You said so yourself." "But you didn't know. How could you know he wouldn't be there?" Corey continued to stare at his cell phone, even though it was no longer on, as if he was wishing for a call to come in. He rubbed his head, then the back of his neck. I took a drag. I exhaled as I said, "What?" The skin on his face looked loose, saggy around the mouth. Thinking back, I'm sure I knew what was coming, but the mind is funny. It's easy to ignore things you don't want to know. And this was at the top of my list. Corey looked up, his eyes wide. "I didn't go because he's dead." He put his cell phone away, defeated. "Cancer. 4 or 5 months ago." The smoke turned to acid in my mouth. "How did Obituary. Someone from our class emailed me." We both stood there, together but alone. I guess I knew why he didn't tell me. I guess his reasoning made sense. He wanted to shield me from death. After what happened to my parents, he probably thought he was doing me a favor, keeping this from me. But still, you can't hide from the dead. I put in my wireless earbuds. Corey didn't say a thing. I switched the music on, not bothering to take the MP3 player out of my pocket, knowing every contour and button on his thin body. The snapping of Les Claypool filled my head, and I took a drag. Corey's features became pinched. His lips moved and formed words I couldn't hear. He could have said soup and crack, but somehow I doubted it. I said, "I'm not hungry." He shook his head, and his lips formed more words, maybe gore and spittle, but I could only hear Les Claypool singing about the antipop. His lips moved again, and this time it could only be one word. His eyes were slits as he pointed past me. I turned and saw a man waiting for a bus stop holding a suitcase. There was nothing abnormal about the situation, except, of course, the man in question was completely naked. I put the cigarette in my mouth and turned the music player off. That guy's naked. I know, what's he doing? He appears to be going to work. I didn't want to stare any longer than I had to, but there was something familiar about his absent gaze, the way his head was tilted up, the way he looked at nothing. Corey yelled out, "Hey, put some clothes on!" I let the cigarette drop from my mouth like a silent movie star. I placed my hand on Corey's shoulder. Maybe not the best idea. "What are you talking about? There are kids around!" He stepped closer to the man, only a couple yards away. "Listen, you better have some clothes in your briefcase." The man didn't respond. He made no move to suggest he even heard Corey. Corey turned, and I realized it was the first time I had ever stood behind him during a confrontation. Something was wrong with the whole situation. I didn't like it, and worse, I didn't know why. Corey started to say something, but I don't know what it was because I heard nothing past. The man turned. His eyes were the first things I saw. Maybe the only things. My impression was this guy put in special contacts to make them go all cloudy. Like a dog's catacarous eyes, almost completely opaque. I felt lost in them, like driving down a foggy road and passing your own house. I was so lost I didn't notice he had stepped into the street. That is, I didn't notice until his body was thrown forward by a yellow Hummer. 1 second he was there, the next he was gone. I registered the event in slow motion. The Hummer's screeching tires and people's screams were all on delay. I didn't truly hear them until the body had settled. If I had been a true silent film star, or even a wannabe comedian like Corey, I would have waited till that moment to let the cigarette drop from my mouth. Bottom. Corey had already run to help. The naked man, he could have been clothed and I wouldn't have been able to tell. He was all red and twisted. A Valentine's Day heart. Chewed up cherry bubblegum. Some people were on their cell phones, a few dialing numbers, some taking pictures and video. 1 or 2 ran to help Corey, but I continued to stand frozen. I was thinking about movies I had seen with similar accidents, television shows where people witnessed horrific events. I thought of these things and tried to remember how the characters acted, how they responded. Then I tried to match their emotions and expressions, but it felt wrong somehow. I would have followed Corey to help, but there was nothing I could do. The man was dead, and I was no doctor. My specialty was helping living people. I turned my music player back on. A Tool song began to play. I watched Corey as Maynard sang about living vicariously while watching the world die. My soundtrack to tragedy. So that was that. Hope you enjoyed some part of that. Hey, look, I knew I was going to be doing that. It's Luna. Hello, Sherry. Letizia, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. I did put the mic back on, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, just making sure. I mute sometimes and then forget to put the mic on and off. Yes, Todd. Got some Tool lyrics in there. I wanted to use like the actual lyrics in the novel. I remember when I was writing this, the first time around when I was writing it, I had wanted to use the actual lyrics from some Primus songs and Tool songs and a bunch of other stuff. And I think there were 9 Inch Nails lyrics in there at one point. What else did I have in there? There were a few different bands, and I had the lyrics in, and then it became obvious that it wasn't something that I could, without having to go through the copyright issues that come along with that kind of thing. So I adjusted the writing to a certain extent. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. So this is the new version, the reprint that just came out. And again, for anyone who hasn't been in the room or came in halfway through the reading, What I was doing just there was reading a chapter out of Soundtrack to the End of the World, which is my new novel release for the spooky season. Right there. And yeah, it is a reprint, but it is a revised reprint with a brand new cover design. And of course, Todd is here in the chat. He wrote the foreword, so brand new foreword from Todd Kiesling, none other than Todd Kiesling. So there is some new stuff in there. I wouldn't call it expanded. Sometimes when something's reprinted, they'll call it expanded and revised, or revised and expanded. I didn't really add any new scenes, so if you have experienced the book before or already own a copy of the previous edition, although I did do quite a bit of editing and revising to this, it's essentially the same story. Nothing major has changed from that. Let me get back to this here. Back to that. Oh yeah, Todd's saying that I made the right call. In fact, Todd, I wouldn't be surprised. Did we know each other before I published the original book? Because it would not surprise me at all if you were the one who gave me that advice to take the lyrics out. It could very well have been someone else, but it sounds like a very Kiesling thing to tell me to very logical kind of thing to do. Hey George, how you doing? Is this release much different from the original paperback other than the cover? Oh yeah, so I was just covering that. It is, as writers, anyone who writes, really if you're any kind of creative musician, singer, or even if you're like just into computers or video games, most people realize that as you get older, if you continue to do something, you become better at that thing. So as I was reading over the draft, getting ready for publication, I wasn't happy with a lot of things, and I revised a lot of the language and grammar, but it's essentially the same book. So, I mean, if you've experienced it and already own it, I wouldn't necessarily say that you need to get another copy. It's not going to be a vastly different experience. I was being probably mostly nitpicky about the revisions I was making, just like looking at it with a more critical eye, having been writing for a decade. But yeah, and Todd was saying that it's already been out. It's been, there are a number of different editions too. Currently, the only ways that you can get Soundtrack now are the audiobook version, which is available through Amazon. So if you want to listen to the book, you can do that. And then the paperback, the new edition, paperback and ebook. The old editions are no longer in circulation at all. The original publisher, I feel like he told me he was going out of business, but the website is still there. Maybe he just doesn't continue to publish new content. He's probably just selling off his old stock. But the original publisher is not printing the book anymore, obviously. So how's everyone doing? There's a few of you here. If you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them. It doesn't have to be about the book. It could be just about Halloween. It is getting to that time of year again, which I am very happy about. I've been doing the decorating. Wrong hand again, as you could see. And, just kind of trying to enjoy as much of it as possible. Todd and my brother and I have been doing little watch parties with horror movies and everything. And I have my big library of movies that I've been watching. In fact, if anyone wants to check it out, I'm going to just take a second to find the link for you, because it's not right at my fingertips here. But I created a Halloween countdown list of movies. Oops, sorry about that. My phone is right there. I created a list of Halloween movies they're not all Halloween movies, but it's basically the stuff that I've been watching or will watch. I just posted a link to it in the chat there. It's on Letterboxd. It's a huge collection of the stuff I like to watch generally, and then I also add new things in from year to year. So if something new comes out, like Babysitter or Killer Queen came out, so I added that to the list because I wanted to watch it. Oh, thanks, George. Yeah, there was a point a couple of years ago, maybe it's 3 years ago now, where I had it was like the final stock of the original printing, and I sold signed copies of that through my shop back then. But those are all gone now. That's a collectible now, because there are however many are out, and that's it. Yeah, Anthony, that's what I was just saying. He also said cool collector's item initial edition. Yeah, the very first edition, and in fact even more rare. Let me show you. There you are. So, speaking of limited editions and collector's items and stuff, even more rare than the signed paperback of the original printing of Soundtrack is the ultra limited hardcover. This is the hardcover edition of Soundtrack to the End of the World from the original printing. This was limited to 61 copies, I want to say, or 60 copies, and it had some extra artwork and stuff inside. You could see that it was a numbered edition and sign there. So I don't know who has these. I've seen them pop up on eBay here and there, but that's even probably harder to find, I would say, I guess. And then obviously we had the you could still get this bad boy, by the way, Greetings from Moon Hill paperback. Perfect time of year for that, off of Amazon. But speaking of limited editions, this is the limited edition of Greetings from Moon Hill in the slipcase hardcover that we did with the original Kickstarter that Todd and I ran. And that was also a limited signed numbered edition. This one is not numbered or signed because it is my copy. But yeah, so I put out some stuff that is probably hard to find at this point. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe people are like giving it away. Oy. So does anyone have any questions for me about anything, I guess? The release of this new novel, or Halloween, or how awful I think Voodoo Mountain Dew is. Is it, do I give it a negative 10 stars or negative 20 stars? Neither. I give it a negative 100 stars. It's not good. I don't know why I bought I bought the little 6-pack of it. They're flat. The sodas taste flat to me. It tastes like flat Skittle water. It's not good. All right, what are we at here? We're coming up on about an hour of live streaming, and I have had a pretty long day. So I'm happy to answer questions if anyone wants to ask anything, or if you want to just chat a little bit. But if not, I'm probably going to end this in a few minutes. Mostly because I have to vomit out the voodoo. Hopefully it doesn't stain anything. Have you guys tried this stuff? Am I the only psycho that actually buys it? I get overly excited about Halloween releases of things, even when I probably shouldn't. Like, I tried that last year. I knew it wasn't that good last year. What did I think was going to happen? It was going to mysteriously become an amazing drink. Plus, I don't even like soda that much. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I was thinking, hey, it's only $3. You might as well. And it's Halloween. Tell us about your next novel. And George said, yeah, I have my signed hardback edition of Moonhill too. Guess I'm a collector now. Thank you, George. Yeah, that is, I forget how many of those did we make, Todd? Do you remember? The, hardcover limited signed edition of Moonhill. I don't remember how many we made. I know it's pretty limited, though. I know there wasn't many of them. Anthony said, yeah, you haven't seen the Voodoo around. I found it at ShopRite. They had one bottle for $2 and change, or you could buy the 6-pack for like $3 and change. So that's the only reason I got the 6-pack. Todd's a good friend. He doesn't really want to hear about my next novel, but he knows that it's good for promotional reasons. 100 copies. Okay. So there's more of those than the original hardcover release of Soundtrack. But still, I haven't checked eBay. Have you ever checked eBay for those, Todd? I haven't. I don't usually. I don't think to look, really, but I'd be curious to see if any of the limited editions are up on eBay for any... probably no one buys them. So, my next novel is entitled The Precipice of Nowhere. It's written. It's complete. I have a pretty good draft polished up. I mean, I think it's pretty polished, but, right up until the next editor gets their hands on it. And I realized that, no, it's not quite as polished as I thought. But, Todd's going to go check to see if any are on eBay. Yes, let's see. All of them are on eBay. If Todd isn't asking good enough, I want to hear about it. Okay. So the Precipice Nowhere. I am currently looking for an agent to represent my writing, represent me. Up until this point, I had just been selling directly to publishers, and I haven't really tried to get an agent in about a decade. When I first wrote Soundtrack to the End of the World, way back when, before it was published, I first was looking for an agent for that, and then I got frustrated with the process because it is a very frustrating process. You have to wait a very long time to get responses. Back then, it was not electronic at all. You had to send in, snail mail submissions for almost every agent, and it took months to get back. And I got frustrated and I gave up. But I decided to try to go the agent route again and see if I could get any interest. So it's I think it's a very strange novel. I'm trying to remember my stupid tagline. I have, because I'm doing the agent thing, I created, the, whatchamacallit, elevator pitch and a synopsis and the query letter, short summary. And then whenever anyone asks me about any of that stuff, I could never remember any of it off the top of my head. They're like, oh, what's your new novel about? I don't know. I never could think of it. So I'm literally looking for the document so I could read it, because I am that brain dead when it comes to remembering my own elevator pitches. All right, the elevator pitch. While a mind-altering disease ravages the populace, Clark Friedman and his reluctant ally Tara Seiko must choose between searching for his daughter and saving the world. Ooh, high stakes. Saving the world. I've messed around with that a little bit. That's actually not even the version that Todd gave the go-ahead to. I think the Todd version is, while a mind-altering disease ravages the populace, Clark Friedman must choose between searching for his lost daughter and saving the world. A little tighter, a little more concise, leaves out the sidekick, leaves out, a couple things. The most overwritten version is, while a cosmic entity ravages the populace, heartbroken Clark Friedman and his reluctant ally Tara Seiko must choose between searching for his daughter and defeating the reality-altering creature. Huh? All right. You guys want a copy? It's not even published yet. So that is like the elevator pitch for the novel, and then sort of the short description is when Clark Friedman's daughter Sadie is kidnapped, Clark and his wife follow clues which lead to an eldritch cavern deep in the state forest. They momentarily find Sadie among a horde of gruesome mutations before she's thrown into a living vortex of red tendrils and disappears. That's when things get really weird. And then there's more to the query letter, but you know. So, sorry, I'm just closing things up. Todd's laughing at me. There's one on there for like, $90. They're trying to score $90 for my book. Good luck. They're not gonna get it. It's number 31 out of 101. Huh. Okay. Don't buy it. I'm telling you guys, don't buy it. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you like the sound of the new book. It's really hard to, like, I mean, that's the elevator pitch in the short description. And even as I was writing it, I'm very aware that it barely touches the surface of what this book actually is. There's a lot more to it that I completely gloss over because it'd be insanely impossible to try to like pack it all into a query letter or an elevator pitch. I play around with structure in this one, point of view I play around with. You might notice that in the description there's a lot about like reality bending, cosmic entities, and things like that, so I really play into that in the structure of the novel. I'm really happy with it. I would love to see it published at some point. Hopefully I can, if the agent search doesn't go well, I'm just going to submit directly to a few different publishing houses. I'd love to be able to tell you it's coming out in 2021, but I have no idea when this thing is going to see the light of day. And in the meantime, I'm working on some other stuff when I have time. I'm working on a novella right now, which is called According to Riza Isa, and it is a it's about a 80s obsessed horror fan. Sound familiar yet? About an 80s obsessed horror fan who is trying to recreate the perfect retro party. And I don't really want to say much more than that, but that's kind of like the premise of the new novella that I'm working on. So that one I'm excited about too. I've been having fun. I've been having a lot of fun with that one. Todd said he looked up the old spreadsheet and you're trying to figure out whose copy that is. Ooh, diabolical. And you send them a nasty email. How dare you, sir? Anthony's saying it's being sold by Red Planet Books, which means that whoever originally owned it probably sold it or gave it away, and now a used bookseller somehow has it. I'm thinking that's probably the most likely, unless the person who originally bought it is a book dealer and goes around buying limited editions in the hopes that they could flip them. I don't know. People do that kind of stuff. Believe it or not, it shocks me that there are like speculators in collectibles. Like, how much money can you... I guess you can make some money doing that kind of stuff, but it seems like such a pain to have to go through all the trouble of like... And then the losses that you'd incur when you make a bad call. Like when you buy my book thinking it's going to go way up in value. I just made myself sad. I'm still drinking this swill. Alright, well, we made it past the hour mark. Anyone have any other questions or comments or anything else? Sorry, I have to wait for the delay to catch up with the chat, so I can see if anyone actually does have any questions. Check out this shirt. I got this from Cavity Colors a long time ago, back when their Halloween shirt plus trick-or-treat bag was affordable. This might have been the first year they did it, actually. Really great design, though. Well, thank you, Anthony. I appreciate it. All right on. I think I'm gonna call it quits here. About an hour seems to be what I got in me. Thank you for those of you who showed up for our little thing here. Again, if you're interested, if you don't already own a copy and you want to see what it's all about, you can go ahead and jump to my webpage, anthonyjrapino.com, and score yourself either a signed paperback copy directly from me or a Kindle copy or paperback from Amazon. And again, just to reiterate, we do have some other goodies in the shop that are still there, from some shirts and magnets and things, the Devil's Creek idols. And before I go, and this is really probably only interesting to Anthony, but Anthony, let me go back to the live screen. The stuff that was what was I gonna say? Well, I guess this is interesting to everyone, but maybe interesting to no one. This is all international candy. Just a huge thing of international candy, all saved up because I barely eat sweets. So I hit on this stuff once in a while. But I want to put it in my my Halloween candy basket. All right, I'm obviously losing my mind, so I'm gonna go. Thank you again, everyone, for hanging out with me, and I will catch you on Instagram, Facebook. Maybe I'll do one of these live streams again in the future. All right, I forget how to end this thing. That's why I'm still talking. End stream, probably, right?